Could we potentially see Jamie Foxx returning as Electro in the upcoming Spider-Man 3 starring Tom Holland? Let's talk about that right now. Hello everybody and welcome back to Joker's Movie Network. I'm your host Joker, and today we've got some pretty interesting news coming out from The Hollywood Reporter stating that Jamie Foxx is set to return as Electro, the same character he played in The Amazing Spider-Man 2, but for the Tom Holland Spider-Man series. And pretty much as basic and straightforward as it gets from The Hollywood Reporter, it states, Jamie Foxx, who played classic Spidey villain Electro in the Andrew Garfield starring The Amazing Spider-Man 2, is in final talks to reprise the role for the latest Spider-Man installment starring Tom Holland and being made by Marvel Studios and Sony Pictures. So first off, you look at this and you say, the same Electro that we got in The Amazing Spider-Man 2 is going to be in this new Spider-Man 3. None of that makes sense. But then you have to break it down and realize, is he actually going to be playing the same type of Electro that we saw in Amazing Spider-Man 2? Or is he just coming back and getting the Deadpool treatment and going to be actually playing a better revamped version of Electro? Or is he actually going to be in this at all? So yeah, we first saw Jamie Foxx's version of Electro in The Amazing Spider-Man 2 back in 2014, and a lot of the fans didn't seem to care much about it. His portrayal of the character was very odd and strange, and not necessarily that I think it was Jamie Foxx's fault for having this portrayal of Electro, but I think it was the writing and the directing involved. And as usual, regardless of if this is true or not, since The Hollywood Reporter is fairly a reasonable source to consider as being true, take everything with a grain of salt, because as of right now, Marvel has no comment on this, and there is no word on whether or not Sony has actually said anything about this. And we also have to keep in mind when going through this that Jamie Foxx is in talks to finalize the idea of being Electro in Spider-Man. And we may not even see him as Electro. He may be in the movie, but maybe playing a different character. We really don't know. None of this is set in stone, and this is all just from this one report. But overall, what do we think about this? Having Jamie Foxx come back as Electro for Spider-Man 3. Does it fit the premise? Does it seem to tie in with what they've been trying to do so far with the Spider-Man series? What is this going to be looking like? Well, if it's anything like The Amazing Spider-Man 2, I'm not going to be that excited for it. The Amazing Spider-Man 2 is probably one of my least favorite Spider-Man movies. I really didn't care for the Andrew Garfield series anyway. So The Amazing Spider-Man, The Amazing Spider-Man 2, they were okay. I was looking forward to it when this revamp came out saying they're going to redo Spider-Man. I thought, hey, cool, more Spider-Man movies. They just weren't the best. And with the poor performances and poor ratings from The Amazing Spider-Man 2, it's not surprised that a lot of people might want to step back from this and say, ooh, do we really want this to be in the next Spider-Man movie? We got a good thing going so far. Do we really want to go back to a failed project and bring something in from that? What's the deal? Take it from this perspective. If we're going to be getting Electro in this movie, it just points to the fact that they are trying to actually fully finish a Sinister Six arc, which the last two Spider-Man films attempted to do to some degree, but it never just seemed to work out. This, on top of the Morbius movie that is being made, aside from that, just keeps adding to the list of villains that we could potentially see coming back in Spider-Man 3, including but not limited to Vulture, Scorpion, Morbius now, apparently Electro, and the potential of many others, which does include Mysterio, because we really don't know if he's actually 100% dead or not. But here's where this whole thing goes a little out of whack and pretty interesting, because we've gotten to the point now where everyone is talking about the multiverse. Ever since Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse came out and blew the audience away with how fantastic that movie was, it has opened up the idea and the potential for having a true film multiverse between different areas. Basically, the idea of seeing Tom Holland Spider-Man up against Tobey Maguire Spider-Man in the same film. You know, a lot of fans have been fantasizing about a movie like that for a very long time. Along that, when you add J.K. Simmons' portrayal of the Sam Raimi, J. Jonah Jameson back from the original Spider-Man trilogy into this new one, it kind of plays to the fact that while they do say that they are completely separate characters, it's just the same actor playing the same character, it does kind of seem like there could be somewhat of a hint of more multiverse-style characters. And if Electro is being brought over from The Amazing Spider-Man 2 into this new Spider-Man trilogy, maybe that just adds to it. Now, overall, I think one of two things are going to come out of this. Either they're just taking Jamie Foxx to replay Electro in this movie for the film aspect, and it's going to have no tie-ins with The Amazing Spider-Man whatsoever, which is probably the more likely thing, and they're just going to give him the Deadpool treatment. And when I mean the Deadpool treatment, I mean think back with Ryan Reynolds' first portrayal of Deadpool in X-Men Origins Wolverine, where we had Deadpool, but it wasn't really Deadpool. He was just something random, and they really didn't know what they were doing with the character. Versus now, when we have this new Deadpool and Deadpool 2, still starring Ryan Reynolds as the true adaptation of Deadpool that we know from the comics. So I'm thinking that that's potentially what this is going to be, giving Jamie Foxx a fresh start as the Electro he wanted to be from the start, but due to writing and directing, he could not give that actual performance. Or there's truly going to be some sort of a multiverse crossover of some sort, which I think would be cool if done right, and would be insane for the fans to sit there and just see 3 different versions of the Spider-Man universe collide into one. Who knows what that would look like or how that would even work, but hey, I'm open to it if it makes sense within the Marvel Cinematic Universe and if Sony knows what they're doing with the character. And with this whole conversation revolving around the Sinister Six being the main focus of Spider-Man 3 and the Spider-Man trilogy in general, so to speak, it does leave the door open for 2 potential main villains to come back into the scene, that being Doc Ock and the Green Goblin. So could we potentially be seeing more villains in this movie alongside Electro, being either Doc Ock or the Green Goblin, since it only makes sense to have at least one of those 2 in there since they have a main part in the Spider-Man storyline. And we really don't know how much farther Tom Holland's Spider-Man is going to be going solo film-wise after Spider-Man 3. And we already know that the Spider-Man Sony universe is growing and expanding in multiple different areas, including the Spider-Verse 2 movie that is going to be coming out. We've got Venom 2, which is going to be adding Carnage, alongside the new Morbius film that is going to be adding Vulture back into the scene as well. So there's a lot of potential for a lot of villains to be in this movie, and Jamie Foxx's Electro, while not something I would have expected, I'm interested to see if this gets confirmed and it's written off and he signed the contract and he's going to be in the movie, or if he's going to be in the movie just not as Electro. We really don't know much besides what this article tells us for now, but what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. Do you think we're going to see Jamie Foxx as Electro, and what do you think about that? Do you think it's going to be a brand new and improved Electro that we haven't seen before? Is it going to be a true multiverse split in the timeline, or we're going to be getting the Amazing Spider-Man version? And if that's the case, are we going to be seeing other characters from other Spider-Man films appear in this new Spider-Man 3? Let me know in the comments down below. I want to talk about it. But until any other news comes out revolving Spider-Man 3 or the Sony Spider-Verse in general, or Jamie Foxx's Electro, that is going to be it for this video, guys. Remember, if you like what you saw, be sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know in the comments down below if you want to see more movie news videos, or if you'd like to see anything else. But until then, and as always, I will see you guys next time.